What's up, everybody? Welcome to the BFF show. My name is Brendan.
I'm Franco.
Franco, I just mess up all the time. I messed up just now. I hit a wrong button. It was my fault. I tried to make it so I could see you a little bit better, and I accidentally got out of the call, but now I'm back. And I messed up audio before, so I'm very sorry.
Yeah, what Brendan's explaining, dear viewer, is that we have 2 shows in the can of me just talking to myself because either the audio messed up or the video file messed up. But as I've reassured Brendan, you are so loyal to the product that, like any good Versace or Gucci bag, you will wait for the next release and then come clamoring in line, a la iPad in the 90s. And don't tell me I'm delusional, I'm going to go with it.
That's how we do. iPad in the 90s? They didn't have an iPad in the 90s. What are you talking about?
I meant an iPod, sorry.
An iPod in the early 2000s. It wasn't around in the 90s.
Look, when you get old, the centuries and
you were in your mid-30s. Get over it.
Fine. Like a Nokia phone in the 90s.
Okay. Did you have a Nokia phone, by the way?
I did. I had a Nokia phone with a rainforest shell on it, and it would drop and break apart, and I put it back together, and it still worked. Nowadays, you drop a cell phone, that screen is gone.
Did you have a Razr phone?
Never had a Razr. I missed that generation. But I had the slide, like the flip.
I had the older version, just a flip phone. I missed my flip phone every day.
I remember you buying a flip phone at our 10-year reunion in, I believe, 2016, actually.
Yeah, it was 2016, and I had to ask the Best Buy gentleman to go underneath the counter because I asked if they had them. He said, yeah, but most people are. And I was like, no, I want a flip phone. And he had to go like in the back shelf underneath the display, and he found like the last remaining flip phone, and I bought it. Sight unseen. I was like, I'll take it. Let's do this. It was great. Dude, you could drop that phone on concrete and grass and water. It still worked. Nowadays, like, I got a Pixel 2. The thing's already got a slightly cracked screen. It's just not good, and I'm afraid of dropping it because it's now a computer. I miss the old days, Franco, when the phone would hold up.
Yeah, it's funny to wax poetic about outdated technology that you would complain endlessly about if you had to use now, but I definitely understand what you mean.
Let's stop talking about cell phones, okay, Franco, for once. I'm tired of it, and I just am. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, we got a lot to talk about. We got a big old WrestleMania preview, so we can lay down some predictions. But first, we need to talk about a few retirements that happened. First, we'll start in the world of MMA with Connor McGregor announcing via Twitter, because that's the official source now for all things sports, that he is retiring from MMA. And then it was mostly, I want to say about maybe 2 or 3 hours later, that he was being investigated for sexual assault in Ireland, I believe. So, interesting timing, probably related, most definitely related, and we'll have to see where this goes. But first of all, Franco, do you believe that this is an actual retirement? And if you do or you don't, how do you feel about Conor McGregor right now, and where does he stand in terms of MMA history, and sort of how do we view what his actual accomplishments from the lens of what he's done lately?
That's a hard question. One, I've never liked him. I think he's a not nice young man. 2, I do think the retirement and the assault charges are definitely related. And 3, I don't think he's retired. I think this is a bargaining chip and he's trying to leverage. I don't think he expected those charges to come out necessarily as soon as they did, right after retirement. Unfortunately, I don't think we've seen the last of him in the cage. I think we'll have to deal with him again, and hopefully he gets smashed again. I just don't. I mean, he was a plucky underdog, and it was a great story of him rising up. And had he maintained some sort of humbleness, fantastic. But I think ultimately he's bad for the sport. I think you're passing on the wrong lessons to our youth and young athletes when the way you get booked on things and you get money is to talk down another professional who's put in a lot of work and effort. So, good riddance to Conor McGregor, and hopefully his followers will eventually fade away too.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be saying good riddance to him. He's just going to pivot to something else. I think it's when you have the fight with Khabib and what happened in the aftermath of him going into the cage, you have even before that throwing a barricade through a bus window. You have him sort of not even participating and refusing to come in unless it's a grandiose amount of money to defend his belts. Dana White having to relinquish him of the said belts. So supposedly gearing up for a comeback. However, didn't do well his last time out. Now he has his own Irish whiskey brand that he's shamelessly promoting anywhere and everywhere that'll take him. It's just, I don't think this is the end. I don't think that I think you're right. I think he's going to be back at some point. I think he's going to be back in the MMA. Maybe he's actually looking for some sort, and the rumor is that he was looking for some sort of ownership stake in UFC as part of his whatever contract he signs for his next fight. So I think in terms of where he stands, I think when he came on in the beginning, it was good for UFC because they were lacking star power. They had Ronda Rousey in the women's world, but they didn't have a male star that they could really hang their hat on in terms of someone that broke the ceiling of the average, beyond just the average MMA fan. Conor McGregor was sort of that he transitioned into pop culture, late night TV show, all that stuff. So cover video games and everything else. So I think it worked for UFC, but they kind of never, like a legitimate sports company would, sort of crack down on his antics and sort of really adhere like you would in maybe Major League Baseball or NFL, even though there's many problems with those organizations. But it never felt like Dana White was willing to do anything to really calm him down or really institute rules for his behavior. And that led to the Conor McGregor that we have today, that is nonstop promoting, that is full of himself, that isn't acting like, as you said, a good person for your children to look up to. So I think it's really going to be interesting where this goes, and I don't think it's the end of it. Do you see a fight coming up if we both agree that he's not actually out, when does he come back? Is it 6 months from now, year from now, tomorrow? What do you think? I'm
thinking like September or October.
Yeah.
Like right in the low point of this, like the fall, when they kind of need to drive numbers up. I think that's when we'll see a push. So
we'll keep an eye on it, but we'll have to see. We'll definitely. I don't watch a lot of MMA, so I'm indifferent. But I know Conor McGregor, and I think again that speaks to what he has done for the sport, for better or worse. Another major retirement: Rob Gronkowski. Oh, the Gronk. He's gone after 9 years in the NFL. He has retired. He retired last week. And who knows where he's going? Probably to WWE, most likely. He's got his friend Mojo Rawley there. But Franco, where do you put the accomplishments of Rob Gronkowski on a historical level, just on the field? And we can talk about how, much like the Conor McGregor conversation, antics off the field have kind of tainted that a bit.
See, I don't think it's fair to even say antics off the field. This is a guy who's a poor sport, who went out of his way to concuss another human being. Jacksonville Jaguars cornerback, which we all seem to forget. It's not played in the highlight reels of his retirement or anything else. But there was a time 2 years ago when he made a conscious decision to hit another man in the back when they're on the ground in the back of the head. In a sport where we're worried about CTE and everything else, I think it's disgusting the honor they've given him. I don't think he deserves any of it. I think he should go down as one of the dirtiest players in the game, and not in like a charming way. Not like Heinz Ward or Larry Zonka, like a scumbag. And I think Rob Gronkowski is the ultimate scumbag. In the pantheon of NFL scumbags, and I refuse to honor his retirement with any sort of pageantry or recognition other than to say he was a good football player, and somehow that allowed him to be an even worse human being, and that's what's wrong with the league.
You said it all, man. I think you got to really, I appreciate the reminder about sort of the dirty activities that he engaged in on the field, and I think off the field it's just the frat boy mentality that makes it really hard, for me at least, to root for him, because he had his crews. And I think it's weird that his actions are a bit forgiven, given that he is a grown man, first of all, and then also supposedly someone that kids would look up to. I don't know, like the charm, kind of the veneer wore off pretty quickly with me when he first came onto the scene. At first you're like, oh, that's cute, but then after a while, like, oh, this is it. But I think, again, much like Conor McGregor, this isn't the end. We're just going to see him in a different medium. I don't think he's going to go in the booth anytime soon. I don't think that at all. But I do believe you're going to see him hosting parties across the country, probably in the WWE. Franco, where do you expect him to land now that he's retired from the NFL?
Probably the WWE. I imagine that's going to happen sometime soon. I'm sure he'll invent his own vodka brand that's somehow inappropriate. Don't forget, this is a player that is so immature that when he scored his 69th touchdown, that was a point of broadcast celebration and something that he acknowledged. Never in the history of any other tight end or wide receiver did they stop to say, oh, 69, that's hilarious. That's level of maturity. And then when people were eating Tide Pods, remember that?
Yes.
The first person Tide could think to hire to say don't eat Tide Pods was Rob Gronkowski. And I'm not sure if you're one for subtlety or for any sort of like, there's your sign, but there's your sign. That is who he is. I think we've given him far too much respect on the way out. And I think the sport's better for not having him in it, despite his many great talents. But it doesn't make up for being a poor person.
We'll love to see, because the NFL and NFL media in particular are like, is he the greatest tight end of all time? And I don't think that's the case at all. But we'll see. Again, like I said, we're not going to hear the end of this for quite some time. Rob Gronkowski's only, 30, early 30s? Maybe he just turned 30, I think, at this point.
Yeah, he's not gone. Well, we're going to see him again.
We're going to see. We may even see him. Look at this transition coming, Franco. We may even see him this Sunday, because it's Wrestlemania, everybody. Oh, so much to talk about WrestleMania. To me, and maybe it's because I don't follow the product as much, Franco, but just in general, the vibe of this WrestleMania, minus the 2 championship matches, the vibe of this WrestleMania feels slightly incomplete, I guess I would say. It feels like a rushed together card. Every year you and I think that they're going to finally get it right. But every year it seems like they only can focus on 2 matches and give them their dedication. And the 2 matches that are getting the attention don't include, in my opinion, Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins, which if you had said that 4 years ago, I think you would have said we were both out of our mind. But a match with Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins is almost like an afterthought, and Rollins won the Royal Rumble. So just in general, before we get match-to-match details, Franco, how are you feeling about the lead-up to this? And do you share any of the same thoughts that I have about sort of the lackluster-ness of the rest of the card, minus the women's championship match and Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan?
I think you kind of nailed it. I think for me, the 2 matches they've been pushing, though, have been pushed stupendously. And it's almost like a boxing card. I'd want to go watch Tyson versus Holyfield. Like, they've done that. Like, I'm all in for Tyson versus Holyfield. And so, I mean, for me, that's Kofi versus Daniel Bryan for me. But for some people, it's the women's match. I don't like Ronda's crap. I hope she gets I hope she's fine physically. Cause I never wish ill on anybody on the BFF show.
No.
But I hope she looks piss poor and gets outshined by 2 other women that are very talented, that have paid their dues, that have earned their spot. And that's that.
Yeah, let's start there. I mean, the women's championship match for right now, and then we can get into it again. And sort of the driver of the tone for me is Asuka was the SmackDown Women's Championship up until last week, and Charlotte Flair pinned her. Is now a champion, as well as Ronda Rousey. It's a triple threat. Stephanie McMahon was on Raw last night and said that the championship is now the match is for both championships, which is interesting. So I think they're trying to prime up a Becky Lynch win, maybe, or it could be a swerve and it's a Ronda Rousey win, which would end badly, I think, in front of that New York crowd. But I'm excited for this match because there's a lot. It's got great workers in it. Ronda, I think, can get carried through by both Charlotte and Becky. I was a little concerned when it was just Becky versus Ronda, not because of Becky, but because I don't know if Ronda can carry the match at the level that needs to be for WrestleMania main event. But I'm excited about the match. I like the story, parts of the story, so I'm invested in that level, and I think it's going to be good, but I think anything other than Becky Lynch winning is going to end the night on a sour note, which you and I both know very well that sometimes Vince McMahon likes to pull that trigger just because he can and get people to tune in the next night. So what do you think of the match, Franco, and what's your prediction?
I predict the Becky Lynch win. I'm not overly thrilled about it. This is an unpopular opinion in your home, but I'm not in love with the main character personally. I think in trying to be Ronda Rousey-esque, she's kind of lost some of the charm of what made her popular in the first place. And I think that's often overlooked. I think what they've done is transitioned Becky Lynch into the character Ronda Rousey should have been. And Ronda Rousey into the character she probably should have been in the beginning, but wasn't. I think the real unsung hero of all this is going to be Charlotte Flair. I think Charlotte is heads and shoulders above Becky in working. Again, unpopular in your home, but it's just how I feel. I think Becky's great. I think when working with great workers, she's fantastic, but I don't think she can carry someone. I think that's why it's a godsend they put the belt on Charlotte. I do think it's very unfair to the women of SmackDown because there's an entire roster of women that were going to vie for a championship match that were suddenly told 3 weeks out or a week out that they won't have the opportunity. Yeah. And that's sad because WrestleMania does bring with it I think as fans we forget this, a big paycheck that gets added to your end of the year bonus. It comes with free travel. It's one of the greatest sports moments ever. And so to rob 6 other performers that probably deserved it because you didn't do a good job building Charlotte into the match is a disservice to them. So I think it's just another failure on the creative team's part. But I feel like if we kept saying that, we'd say it the rest of the show. So I'm going to get one out there and say it and leave it there.
So your prediction is Becky Lynch.
It's Becky Lynch, and I don't like it.
Okay, let's move into a match that I know you are very interested in. It's the WWE Championship, Daniel Bryan, current champion, versus Kofi Kingston. For me, I like this story a lot. I like that Kofi's been the underdog working with New Day. It had to end up being where even despite winning the gauntlet match, Vince McMahon, who's now the authority figure for this match, we can talk a little bit about that if we have time as a sidebar, but sent out Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan beat Kofi Kingston. The next week, the New Day, Xavier Woods and Big E teamed up and did a gauntlet tag match to win. And if they won, they got the right to get Kofi in the championship match. They did. So Kofi is in. And I'm really excited about this. I think this is a long time coming. Kofi is over a decade's worth of work. Excellent worker. Daniel Bryan is going to make this an awesome match too. I think this is just one of those things where even if they didn't have the story component, I would have still been invested in this match because of who's in it. And I think that's a testament to the work of both of these gentlemen. And I'm excited for this match. I predict it's Kofi, but I would not be surprised if Daniel Bryan walks out as champion because this is not main eventing. So I think they have and I say opportunity in terms of how Vince McMahon sees it. They have an opportunity to really mess with fans' emotions before priming them for a Becky Lynch win.
I think you nailed the head on the nail. I think you nailed the nail on the nail on the nail.
Nice.
Somewhere possibly on the head into a piece of wood or something like that. I'm still worked up over Rob Gronkowski and how much of a scumbag he is.
Yes.
And I think you're right, we will see him. But the Kofi Kingston match is fascinating to me. I think it's one of the more organic matches. And I think there's a lot of testament to that is what happens when you let the fans pick the star and then how fast it picked up steam. Kofi Mania is trending above WWE. I think that's a big sign to the company. They should do the right thing here. Do I think do the right thing? No. I think Daniel Bryan wins. And the reason being is life imitates art. We can come back to this, but Vince is who he is for a reason. And I don't think he'll be willing to put the belt on someone like Kofi for a whole myriad of different reasons. And on top of that, they're going to have Seth Rollins beat Brock Lesnar because Lesnar needs a transition out of the company.
Right.
They don't have a Money in the Bank suitcase to help with that because they've kind of done away with that whole thing. And on top, they're going to have Becky win so as to go home happy. So one babyface champion one championship challenger has to lose, and the only person who can possibly do it is probably Kofi Kingston. So great build, but it's going to end up disappointingly, I think.
Yeah, and I think it may lead to a New Day breakup, which I hope doesn't happen. But I have a sense that they might be building that to get Kofi, who I think, as looking at it from a Vince McMahon perspective and what we know of having watched so many hours of WWE television, there's no better way to change the conversation than to have a group split up and then have them fight out each other while you move them quietly away from the championship scene and push back down the card. So I think you're right. I think we're going to be disappointed with this one. Let's go to Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. This one, to me, we don't need to spend a lot of time, Franco. What are your initial thoughts on it?
Don't care. Happy Roman's back from leukemia. Rooting for the guy as a human being. Match is going to suck. Drew McIntyre's never impressed me, personally. So
no.
Just don't
Who
care.
wins in this one?
Who wins? Roman Reigns. Easy win.
Easy win. Yeah. Easy win by Roman. All right, let's move on. AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. I'm actually interested in this one, Franco. I like this one. What do you think?
I think it's a great match. I think any other WrestleMania might be a co-main event.
Yeah.
I think they built it fairly well, or unexcitingly at least, or in a way that makes sense. I think we see Orton beat Styles. And again, because of heel-face balance, WWE doesn't really think in the plan of creative plan. They think of give or tit for tat. I think we see Roman win, so that in that way Orton will win to balance it out.
Yeah, I think we have an Orton win as well. I think that I'd like to see AJ Styles turn back to a heel. I like AJ as a heel better, so I hope that this is sort of leading. A loss here will be the spur for a heel turn, and then move him over to Raw, get him off of SmackDown for a little bit. I think open up that space a bit. I think he's done everything he can for SmackDown. I'd like to see him with some of the matchups on Raw. Triple H versus Batista, returning Batista. I've enjoyed Batista's promo work because it's been just 4 words or less. I think he said Hunter kissed my A last night and then put his sunglasses on and walked out, which I thought was really funny. It's a no holds barred match, so that made me very happy. That means that Batista hasn't done wrestling in a while. Not that he can't do it, but the no holds barred kind of gives cover. Whenever you see that slapped on a match, it's like, oh, okay, cool. So we can see some shenanigans. It's not going to be the technical wrestling match at all. It's going to be sloppy, but I think this has potential, to me, Franco, to be a sneaky kind of underdog fun match of the night. Maybe it's not the match, I hope, but I think I have some high hopes that this is going to be a fun little match. What do you think?
I think it's a match that I want to get up and go to the bathroom during. Other than that, I just really don't care. I'm tired of seeing Hunter wrestle. And I like Hunter as a wrestler back in the 90s, but it's, again, back when they had Nokia phones. That time has passed. I think, bonus here, remember that Degeneration X is being inducted in the Hall of Fame over this WrestleMania weekend. I think they play a role somehow in the match.
All right, so we'll see. So you think who wins? Triple H?
Triple H wins with DX interference.
I say Batista wins clean. Intercontinental Championship, Bobby Lashley versus Finn Balor. A demon Finn Balor, as noted on last night's Monday Night Raw. Franco, what are your thoughts? And who wins?
The only logical way to do it is have Finn Balor win because he deserves the win, and they criminally underused him in every way possible, including having two of his stablemates on a different show and be jobbed out in 10 seconds. So Finn Balor should win. I'm going to hope for the best and say Finn Balor wins, but the flip side of that is if they decide to go with three faces winning championships in the main title race, this might be the match they bounce it back and they have Bobby Lashley beat Finn Balor. So, actually, I'm changing my vote. I'm going Bobby Lashley over Finn.
Okay, I'm going Finn because it's one of those. It's like betting in the NFL when you have a really hot team on a streak. It's like keep betting them until they lose, and whenever the demon shows up, Finn Balor wins. So until he loses, and every match that's confirmed to have the demon, I'm voting for Finn Balor. Now, if they have him lose as the demon, then that gets interesting. And in a weird way, I actually would like to see that because then it goes to, well, maybe he's not the demon anymore, and they don't rely on that gimmick as an automatic win. Maybe we see a little bit of the Prince Devitt character pop up, and maybe hopefully one day we get them going on some sort of club. I don't care at this point if it's just something, but a stable with Finn Balor as the lead and going up against AJ Styles, that would be fun. So maybe this is a way to give the old Prince Devitt is dead gimmick he had in New Japan where he came out of the coffin and he was a completely different person. Maybe they do a spin on that. So I'm going to say Finn Balor because as a bettor and a degenerate, I think I can't bet against it, but I would love to see a defeated Finn change his gimmick up a bit. Let's jump around a little bit. How are we on time? Because I messed up so many times.
Oh, we're doing good. We can keep rolling.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
United States Championship, Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio. What do you think?
Joe, 100%.
Yeah.
Just because I think it's a logical choice and the way to go. And I think ultimately they're going to build to Dominic, Rey's son, who's currently trained to be a wrestler, involved somehow. And they're going to continue the feud after WrestleMania. Happy Joe's on the card. Unhappy that Andrade is not on the card. So
Same.
There you go.
I agree with you. Samoa Joe wins.
Yeah.
Women's Tag Team Championship, Banks and Bayley, current champions, versus Beth Phoenix and Natalya, Nia Jax and Tamina Snuka, and the Iconics. For me, I think I'm going to go with the Iconics. I think they are, I think, due for some sort of run. Give them a chance. I think that you have Beth Phoenix in there and Natalya just for the nostalgia. And I think that Nia Jax and Tamina, they're better when they're singles as they have been together because it's kind of, if you realistically book this, they're winning every single time. But the fact that they just keep getting jobbed out is getting annoying at this point. So I go for the Iconics to win.
I agree. And I think we run into a Braun Strowman kind of situation where they don't know how to book Nia because she's so actually dominant in real life. So I think Iconics win. You know what? Actually, I changed my vote so we don't agree. I think Beth Phoenix and Natalya win because I don't think Vince can help himself.
All right, we'll see. We shall see. Next up, we have The Miz versus Shane McMahon in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Franco, what are your thoughts on this one?
Don't care. Don't want to see it. I'm tired of a 40 or 50-year-old man like getting a spot in WrestleMania when there's better workers not on the card. And namely Andrade. This would be a great spot for Miz versus Andrade. And that'd be fantastic if they did a swerve and Shane moved out of the way and he let a younger worker come in and fight his battle for him. But that would make too much sense. So not front of the show, Shane McMahon, I think somehow wins this match, which is depressing but true.
Yeah, I think he wins too because the new reality show The Miz is in is premiering, and I think that he's got to do promos for it and press, so he's going to be out the door for a bit. I think depressingly, you're right, it's going to be Shane McMahon. I think this is my bathroom break of the night. This is my let me get another beer and try to relax.
Don't forget that Shane also won that tournament for the best wrestler of all time.
Oh, yeah.
So I think we see that.
Here's another interesting one. Kurt Angle versus Baron Corbin. This is tagged as Angle's farewell match. I call shenanigans. I think that we get either The Undertaker or John Cena coming out. And then I think it's a Kurt Angle win either way. But I could see it going down as Baron Corbin gets attacked or something. But I think more likely it's a quick squash match followed up by a promo from Undertaker or John Cena saying, "You're not going out like that. Let's do a real match." And then they go from there. What do you think, Franco?
That would be fantastic. I think it goes two ways. The right way to do it, I think, honestly, is with Kurt being on his last legs and not being a great worker, is to have Corbin win. I think for everybody disliking Corbin, he's incredibly athletic. He's gotten so much better on the microphone. His little sniveling gimmick is working. He is hated, like literally hated. I think you let him end Angle's career and go from there. Don't forget this is a company that let Fandango beat Chris Jericho.
That's a good point.
And I think honestly Corbin is better than Fandango. So
I think so too.
I'm going
but
Corbin.
I think, yeah, no, I was with you. I still think Kurt Angle wins. I think we get a swerve. I think we get John Cena because how can you not have a WrestleMania with a healthy John Cena still that can do something? And it would be a nice bookend from John Cena's first match, which was with Kurt Angle. So we'll see. And maybe even do the ruthless aggression line. And that's why I think the angle is he gets beat up beforehand and it's Cena yelling ruthless aggression. SmackDown Tag Team Championship, Usos versus Ricochet and Aleister Black versus The Bar versus Rusev and Shinsuke Nakamura. Ricochet and Aleister Black, I guess, just because. I don't really have a good reason and I'm not quite interested in this match, Franco.
I'm interested in the match just because of so much talent being involved in it. I think they missed the opportunity with Shinsuke and Rusev to not go the League of Nations. They screwed up before here. Otherwise, their pairing makes no sense whatsoever. At all. But beyond that, I think we're going to see Ricochet and Aleister Black win, which is not a slight on them as workers, but more that they're not a real tag team. They don't deserve to be in the tag team title picture. And the Usos have carried the company so well that they should, even with Jay's arrest and everything else, should still be the champions. But I do think the writing was on the wall when the Usos refused to enter the gauntlet match this past week. I think the come up into that will be somehow they get screwed out of the championship match.
I would have liked to see a gimmick on this, like maybe a ladder, make it a little bit more interesting. But I think the Usos should win. But I think you're right. Shenanigans afoot.
Yeah.
Cruiserweight Championship, Buddy Murphy versus Tony Nese. I'm picking Tony Nese. Simply because I've actually seen this guy in the Indies, and I'm a big fan of Tony Nese. So any chance he gets to shine, I'll take it as a fan, and I hope he wins.
I think he's fantastic. I think Buddy Murphy retains because he's just the face of that brand, the brand that they don't promote or do anything with. But yeah, Buddy Murphy wins because he's the face.
And then quickly, there's the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale and the Women's Battle Royale. Honestly, I didn't realize there was a Women's Battle Royale.
Oh, word. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, so I don't know. Who do you think? Who's the winner of the Battle Royale for the men and women, Franco?
Strowman, because they've done nothing else with them. Women, man, I assume probably Asuka to make up to her the fact that they brought the WrestleMania moment. But I think that's all of our time, really. So take us away.
I'll just say Andre the Giant, EC3. Why? Just because. Franco, what did you win? What did you learn? Not to win. You won me, the gift of me. But what did you learn this evening?
I win that every day. I learned that we're excited for WrestleMania, but not quite. Because when you read the card, it sounds very impressive, but the build's not been that way. What did you learn?
I learned that Rob Gronkowski, not a fan of the show.
And with that...
Or a friend of the show. I'm getting sleepy, I'm sorry.
He's neither a fan nor a friend. I don't care what he's doing. Hopefully he's partying somewhere out of sight, out of mind. But yeah, for the BFF show, I'm Franco.
And I'm Brendan. Bye!
Peace!